Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And if you're looking at this podcast right now, I'm a few minutes removed from watching Will Smith slap the soul out of Chris Rock for some reason.
どうなんでしょうか。
Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
I mean, I guess those Jada Pinkett jokes probably got the best of them. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate your time. Before I get started, I ask that everybody hit that thumbs up button. Let everybody know that you enjoy State of the Saints podcast and all of its content. But let's go ahead and talk about some Saints news. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know by now the Saints have signed a safety. They signed safety Daniel Sorensen. Daniel Sorensen comes from the Kansas City Chiefs. He was a Super Bowl champion. He's been in the league since 2014. He's played in 111 games and had about 30 plus starts. And, I've been reading a lot of comments about Sorensen and why did the Saints get him? Why did they select him? And they go out here and get a guy like Tyrann Mathieu. I think that this was strictly for special teams reasons. I don't expect for a guy like Sorensen to be playing in a game week in, week out. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that this guy's a defensive liability, and Kansas City Chiefs fans were actually elated to watch him go. And that's not a good thing. But there are some good qualities about Sorensen. Like I mentioned, on special teams, he makes a lot of plays. He had his best season a couple of years ago when it comes to interceptions and tackles. This last year, it wasn't so good, but I think him coming in as a special team player, I don't think it would hurt. I think you're always looking for some guys that can help out on special teams, and he fills that role. I still think the Saints need to address the safety position at a guy that can be a playmaker, and you still have a guy like Tyrann Mathieu that's still out there. I don't know why the Saints haven't kicked tires, maybe like send a contract his way, maybe tried to do some negotiating. I have no idea. I also don't understand how a guy like Tyrann Mathieu isn't signed by a team yet. I mean, this guy is really talented. He flies all over the field. He's a leader. He's a guy that a lot of guys want to play with, especially guys from the New Orleans Saints. Guys like C.D. Deuce have been lobbying for Tyrann Mathieu to become a part of the New Orleans Saints. So I do think that the Saints need to address this position. Now, when Marcus Williams signed with the Baltimore Ravens, the Saints went out and got Marcus Maye for the Jets. To me, he's a solid safety. I think that he is going to make some plays, but I don't think that this guy is the answer. I think that the Saints, when it comes to them signing former New York Jets, I mean, they've been hitting them out the park, right? I mean, they did a trade for Jonathan Vilma a couple of years ago. He worked out. Demario Davis back in 2017, that worked out. So I'm hoping that Jet pipeline helps to do all the Saints. But I do feel like they need some help at the safety position. Marcus Maye had a DUI in February, so he's going to miss a few games. I would rather him miss a few games at the beginning of the season versus towards the end like Deontay Hardy did when he played last year, because he was really becoming very effective and one of the Saints' better receivers. So I would like to see Marcus Maye go out and, get this suspension out of the way in order for him to be able to be effective down the stretch for the New Orleans Saints. And also, I think that the New Orleans Saints aren't done with free agency, or at least they shouldn't be. I don't understand the lack of urgency from the New Orleans Saints. As a Saints fan, I must say that there's not a lot of optimism when it comes to some of the decision making so far since Sean Payton has left. Right now, Dennis Allen has had a very slow go of this, and I think that when you're a new head coach, right, coming to replace a legend, because that was Sean Payton was. He's a legend. And also you have even more pressure on you because this isn't like a guy got fired, right? It'd be one thing if Sean Payton got fired and everybody just be breathing a breath of fresh air, right? Breathing, like, man, we finally got this guy up out of here. It's not like that. Sean Payton decided to step down on his own accord. which is very rare. You very rarely see a coach step down on his own accord. So you have that going for you. And now you're out here doing free agency. This is your very first free agency as a head coach, and there's not much going on. And I want to see more out of New Orleans Saints, especially when it comes to the offensive side of the football. I don't understand why there's a lack of urgency on the offensive side of football. All right. You lost to Ryan Armstead. All right. Alvin Kamara had a fight in the elevator. I'm pretty sure he's going to miss a few games, probably 4 or 5 games tops. Right. And then, not to mention, you probably had one of the worst wide receiver groups in football last year. I mean, it was just god awful. It was terrible to watch. I mean, guys couldn't get open. Guys couldn't get separation. They was getting bullied at the line of scrimmage. And it was like a bunch of guys, right? It was just a bunch of dudes out there that were just happy to be there, happy that their mama saw them on TV. And that's good. That's cool, man. I can understand. You're undrafted free agent. You're unproven. And then you get opportunity to play on Sunday and hear your name called and see your little animated picture on the marquee every time you score a touchdown. I can understand that. But the Saints need more than guys that are just happy to be there. The Saints need aggressive wide receivers. They need guys with the number one wide receiver mind frame. There's too many wide receivers that lacked the motivation of a Michael Thomas. If you had the heart, the skill, the will, the determination of a Michael Thomas and all of your wide receivers, I think we'll be all right, regardless if those guys were undrafted free agents or not. But you have a bunch of guys out there, to me, that can't get open. They lack aggression, and they lack that ability to have that switch that gets turned on in order for them to be able to make plays. That's all I want to see, man. And you're not getting it from them. I don't want to see a bunch of guys that I hope are going to do well. All right. We signed this guy back, man. He'll be okay. I don't want any more okay guys, because you have yourself a new quarterback in Jameis Winston, right? I feel like with Drew Brees, you can have okay guys. You can have undrafted, unproven guys, because Drew Brees can bring out the best in them, and he knows their strengths, and he can go out there and probably make it work. With Jameis, I don't think he's reached that level as a Saints quarterback yet. You need some playmakers to surround Jameis. You need some playmakers, some guys that's going to move the chains and that's going to allow him to play the quarterback position effectively. You don't want guys that's going to be losing a battle at the line of scrimmage. If Michael Thomas is getting double covered, still you can't win your one-on-one matchups. The Saints need somebody to come in, whether it's through the draft or free agency. I mean, you still have Jarvis Landry out there that's still looking for a home. I mean, you still got some guys out there that can make some plays, and I don't understand why the lack of urgency. Going after Markel Valdez-Scantling, to me, wasn't the answer. I mean, this is a guy, to me, just was out there. He's a tall guy. He can catch you a couple passes, but I don't think that he is the answer to your number 2 problem, right? You got a guy like Emmanuel Sanders still out there. Yeah, he's up there in age, but he's still a crisp route runner. He still has some speed. He still can win his one-on-one matchups, and I think that he'll be a good compliment to Michael Thomas by bringing him back. But you got to find something, because the offense is not going to be able to move the football effectively if you have this group of receivers. And I don't feel bad about saying this, because last year, due to all the injuries and all the things that were going on with the New Orleans Saints, we had a huge sample size of a lot of these receivers. A lot of the guys that we were like, man, why don't give this guy a chance? Why don't give this dude a chance? We've been saying this so many times, right? And now we see why or why not that guy was given or not given a chance. Because you look at a guy like Kevin White, who came in, I was rooting for him. You was rooting for him, right? He was plagued by the injury bug. He was a first round pick, top 10 pick, never panned out. Caught that pass versus Tampa. We're like, okay, man, maybe we got something here. Then he goes out there to Tennessee, can't win the 50-50 balls, can't get off the line of scrimmage. This is a guy whose confidence is shot. I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is. You have all those injuries and all that stuff that's plaguing you. It's only a matter of time before, your confidence is start to lack. And I feel like that's what Kevin White is. I think he's happy to get the opportunity, but I just feel like the guy has no confidence. Maybe he's out there tiptoeing because he's afraid, to make a hard step or something like that, thinking that history is going to repeat itself and he's going to end up getting injured. You don't want guys like that. I want some talented, young, hungry wide receivers. I mean, guys that are happy to be there. I don't want to see that. I want some guys that have the mind frame of a number one receiver. And there's still some guys out there. And I want the New Orleans Saints to have that same energy. I want to have that same energy they had when they were going out here pursuing Deshaun Watson, because I cannot accept, oh, we're just waiting. Oh, we're just trying to figure out the field. You wasn't trying to figure out the field when Deshaun Watson was still on the table. You moved heaven and earth. You restructured deals. You made sure that you had enough money in case he shows up. So where's that sense of urgency when it comes to addressing your left tackle position? Where's that sense of urgency when it comes to addressing a wide receiver group? Where is that aggression when it comes to having a running back to come in here? I cannot accept that the New Orleans Saints are waiting. Oh, we just trying to wait. We just trying to figure things out. No, that went out the window when number one, when Sean Payton left. Number two, when Drew Brees is no longer there, and you got Jameis, you need some playmakers. So all that stuff just goes out of the window. I want that same energy that you had flying across the country, chasing after Deshaun Watson. You need to be going out here, chasing down some quality receivers to come into here. And I also feel you need to go into the NFL draft a wide receiver. Look, I get it. Teron Armstead, he leaves a huge void when it comes to his leadership and his play on the field. He's a top 5 left tackle. It's hard to replace that. But I don't think there's any position that is more important than a wide receiver position. But we know, right, Saints fans, a Saint is going to Saint. Every time we think that they need something at another position, they go and get another position, a position that we feel like they don't even need. For some apparent reason, that has been the wave over the last couple of years. You have got to get a wide receiver. And don't give me that stuff about, oh, these guys are young and they're inexperienced and you gotta develop them. Nah, man, because we have seen a huge wave of wide receivers that get drafted in the first round. They come in and they are valuable to their team off the bat. So there's a lot of guys out there at 18. I think that the New Orleans Saints can be able to get themselves a credible wide receiver. We talked about Garrett Wilson. We talked about Chris Olave. We talked about Jameson Williams. We talked about Burks. We talked about Pickens. We talked about all these different wide receivers that can come in that, to me, can make an immediate impact. They got the swag, the confidence that you need to see in guys that feel like they're number one wide receivers. You need to find yourself somebody like that, because if you think about it, shouts out to Mike Detillier, because he said this on the show a couple of days ago. Your top offensive linemen, the guys that are going to be making impacts, are probably going to be gone by the time you pick at number 18. So unless you're trying to aggressively try to move up to get yourself a quality left tackle, I mean, I can accept that. And maybe you can go into the second round and get a wide receiver. But that's the only way I would accept that you not get a wide receiver with the first pick, with your first pick in the first round of the NFL draft. I will not accept it, because it makes absolutely no sense. You got guys like James Hurst, who I feel is a quality offensive lineman. He has played almost every position on the offensive line and has done a credible job. If you was to move him to left tackle, I think that you can do a really good job if you was to draft a left tackle, for example, in the second round. Maybe a guy like Abraham Lucas out of Washington State. Drafting a guy like that in the second round, he probably can develop. And in the meantime, James Hurst can be over there. Or, hell, maybe Landon Younger come to training camp, bigger, stronger, more physical. He showed a lot of promise in that one game that he actually played in. I mean, he ranked pretty well when it comes to PFF. I mean, if you're into that analytic stuff. And he was a really solid tackle at Kentucky. So maybe those young guys will be able to step up. And then you also have, a guy like Ryan Ramczyk, who you can probably move from right to left. Now, I think that there's some incentives inside of his contract or something like that. But look, if a guy is really good, whether he's right tackle or left tackle, you move him, all right? If he can play the left tackle position better than most, you move him there. Look, it shouldn't be about money. It should be about production. And if this guy can produce better than any of those guys on the offensive line, and include James Hurst, where you probably can move him to the right side, then that's what you do. You should not be around here counting coins, right? You should be looking at production. And if these guys are being effective on the field, that's what you need to go with, right? So there's some ways that you can move around it, but I don't think that at the wide receiver position, you can move some pieces around and make it work. No, not this year, not this time. Okay, we all saw it. We saw the stench of mediocrity off of all those receivers, and I like those guys, man. Credit to them; they do a really good job. But it is what it is. They just do an okay job, and we don't need okay. If you're trying to win the NFC South, if you're trying to be a playoff contender, then you need to be able to have effective offensive weaponry. That's all I'm saying. And also, if you're not going to sign a running back, go out here and draft yourself one. Tony Jones Jr., another guy who I was rooting for. Preseason last year, he looked like he was the answer. He looked like it so much, we thought that we can get rid of Latavius Murray. We can send him to Baltimore, right, man? We got somebody, man. He's young, he's experienced, he's running better than you. Man, that we're gonna go ahead and send you to Baltimore. And then what happens? When it was his time to shine, when the game was on the line, chips was on the table, he was not able to deliver. And I've seen enough. All right. So you got some guys that can be, quality running backs. We know that the running back position is expendable. So you'll be able to get a quality running back in the 3rd or the 4th round. I mean, it's just the truth, man, because running backs aren't well touted like they once were, right? Back in the days when it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust and you need yourself a battering ram running back. Now guys are looking for wide receivers, offensive linemen, and they're like, oh, man, we can get a running back later because they look at it like anybody can do this. This is an interchangeable position, right? It's expendable. I can use this guy. I don't need this guy. So you can get yourself a quality running back that can possess some of the skills of Alvin Kamara, maybe catching the ball out of the backfield, running between the tackles, a guy that can complement Mark Ingram, where you don't have to run a 30-plus-year-old running back into the ground. I think Mark Ingram is willing, but I just think that the flesh is weak. I like what he says. He talks about how he always shared the backfield for years with running back, so he doesn't have as much, tread missing off the tire, so to speak. But you still have been running for a long time. You've been running at Alabama. You ran away to a Heisman Trophy. You know what I'm saying? You was in the backfield, even though you was with Pierre. You was with Darren Sproles. You were Alvin Kamara. All those carries, they have a tendency of catching up with you one way or another. Now, you cannot afford to be going into the season and relying on Mark Ingram to be your every down back. You need somebody that can have a change of pace with Mark Ingram. So if you don't have that, then I feel like you're going to be missing something. So those are the directions I feel like the Saints need to go in. They need to get a little bit more aggressive. The lack of aggression, it bothers me because I want them to have that same energy they had when they were going after Deshaun Watson. But I would love to hear from you. What do you all think about the Saints signing Daniel Sorensen? What do you think about the safety position? What do you think their need is? Do you think they need to go out here and be a little bit more aggressive? Am I wrong about it? Comment down below, like and share this video. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast, facebook.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. And previous episodes are available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. Till next time, all I got to say is